All right, so today we're going to dive into something pretty fascinating.
Yeah.
Some really interesting material you sent over about Hari Raya Festival. You know, it's clearly a huge celebration for Muslims all over the world.
Absolutely.
And it comes at this really special time after a period of fasting.
Yeah.
And we're going to, unpack what makes this festival so incredibly important.
Absolutely. I think what will be really insightful for you looking at these sources is the variety of traditions connected to Hari Raya. It's not just one event.
Gotcha.
The material you've given us, shows that it includes different celebrations, primarily Hari Raya Aidilfitri and Hari Raya Aidilfitri, sometimes called Hari Raya Aidilfitri.
Okay.
You might have noticed the source initially mentions Hari Raya as a Malaysian term for Ramadan, but then clarifies that Hari Raya Puasa actually happens after Ramadan.
I see.
So it can be a little confusing.
Yeah, that is a little bit confusing.
So our mission for you today is to sort of explore this rich history, the traditions, and the deep meaning woven into the Hari Raya Festival.
All right.
And
sounds good.
we'll be mainly using an overview article that explains different aspects of this important time.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
So let's maybe start by unpacking the timing for you.
Sure.
One thing that I think might have jumped out at you was that the source mentions Hari Raya Aidilfitri 2024 occurring on both May 13th and April 10th.
Right.
So can you maybe help us understand why there are these different dates?
Yeah.
And then there's also the point about Hari Raya Puasa being linked to the first day of the 10th Islamic month.
Okay, so that's a really key point to understand right away.
Yeah.
The difference in the April and May dates for Hari Raya Aidilfitri in 2024
Okay.
likely comes from how lunar calendars are observed
Gotcha.
and possibly regional differences in seeing the new moon.
I see.
What's crucial to know is the reference to the Hijra calendar, which is indeed a lunar calendar.
Okay.
Because it follows the moon cycles.
Yeah.
Its months don't line up perfectly with the Gregorian solar calendar.
I see.
This means the dates for Islamic holidays, including Hari Raya Aidilfitri and Eid al-Adha, will shift a bit each year in our Gregorian calendar.
Makes sense.
And you're right,
Yeah.
Hari Raya Puasa is specifically tied to the first day of Shawwal, the 10th month of the Islamic Hijra calendar.
So it's almost like you're trying to track something that moves around on
Exactly.
the Gregorian calendar.
Exactly.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Now the term Hari Raya itself,
Yes.
the source tells us, it means big day of rejoicing in Malay, especially after the fasting of Ramadan.
Right.
That really captures the feeling of it, doesn't it?
It does.
For those celebrating.
Yeah.
But it also makes sure to say that Hari Raya Puasa isn't the Islamic New Year.
Correct.
So that's an important difference for you to know.
Absolutely. If we connect this to the bigger picture, for you it shows that the Islamic calendar has its own rhythm and set of important dates.
Yeah.
Hari Raya Puasa is specifically about celebrating the completion of a major spiritual practice, the month of Ramadan.
Okay.
Whereas the Islamic New Year marks the start of a new year in that lunar calendar.
Yeah.
There's separate observances with different historical and spiritual focuses for those who follow them.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Moving on to the history and origins.
Okay.
I think this is where it gets really interesting.
Yeah.
The source takes us back centuries, mentioning that the celebration has roots after Prophet Muhammad's return from his final pilgrimage to Mecca.
Right.
That sounds like a really significant connection in the beginnings of Islam.
It is, for you to appreciate the importance.
Yeah.
That return from the final pilgrimage Hajj was a very significant moment, and it's seen as a foundational point for many Islamic practices and celebrations.
Gotcha.
And directly linked to Hari Raya Aidilfitri is the end of Ramadan, the month of fasting.
Yeah.
The material you shared correctly points out that Ramadan commemorates the revelation of the Quran to Prophet Muhammad, making the end of this period a truly important occasion for Muslims.
So Hari Raya Aidilfitri is also called Eid al-Fitr.
Yes.
Which, as the source explains for you, means festival of breaking the fast. That name is so direct and tells you exactly what the celebration is about after that month of spiritual discipline.
Right.
And this tradition of families breaking their fast at dawn with special meals sounds like such a beautiful way for them to mark this change.
Absolutely.
We're talking about things like Ketepat, Rendang, Lambong.
Yes.
These sound like incredible dishes to imagine.
They are indeed central to the Eid al-Fitr experience in many cultures.
Yeah.
What's fascinating for you to consider
Yeah.
is how these food traditions have become so connected with the religious celebration, offering a way for communities to express joy and gratitude through shared meals.
Yeah, I love that.
And the source also brings in the Hijrah,
Okay.
Muhammad's migration, as another significant event for Islam, with Hari Raya commemorating this new era.
Right.
It highlights for you that Hari Raya is not just about the end of fasting, but also about remembering key moments in Islamic history.
Okay. Now let's dive into the traditions and celebrations themselves.
Okay.
The source paints a picture of Hari Raya as a time for so much more than just eating.
Absolutely.
It mentions reflection, remembrance, forgiveness, giving thanks, and celebrating life.
Yes.
It sounds like a really complete experience for those observing.
That's a crucial takeaway for you. If we connect this to the bigger picture, it shows how religious festivals often have multiple purposes.
Right.
They're not just rituals, but also chances for personal and community growth.
Yeah, I love that.
The act of decorating homes to welcome visitors really shows the strong importance of hospitality and community during Hari Raya.
For sure.
For those celebrations.
In this exchange of,
Yeah.
Salamat Hari Raya Haji and generally Salamat Hari Raya wishes, that's the spirit of connection right there.
It is.
Is people reaching out to share the happiness of the occasion.
Absolutely.
Then there's the Kat Fitra
Yes.
that required charitable donation of food before the Eid prayer.
Yes.
That really emphasizes for you the importance of looking out for those who have less.
Exactly. Zakat Fitra is a fundamental part of Islamic practice, stressing social responsibility and making sure everyone can be part of the festive feeling.
Right.
What's particularly insightful for you about Zakat Fitra is its timing,
Okay.
mandated before the Eid prayer.
Wow. Okay.
This underscores the idea that the spiritual merit of Ramadan is intertwined with communal responsibility,
I see.
ensuring that everyone, regardless of their financial situation, can partake in the joy of Eid.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
And this tradition of seeking forgiveness, Zahir Dan Batin, or Maf Zahir Dan Batin,
Yes.
is such a powerful idea for you to consider.
It is.
The thought of asking for forgiveness for both things you know you've done wrong and things you might not even be aware of, the physical and the spiritual.
Yes.
Can you explain a bit more for us what Zahir and Batin really mean?
Certainly. For you to understand it better, Zahir refers to the outward, the physical actions and how we interact with others and the world around us. Batin, on the other hand, goes into our inner world,
Okay.
our thoughts, feelings, and spiritual state.
Gotcha.
The tradition of Maf Zahir Dan Batin really emphasizes rather the importance of seeking reconciliation on both these levels, acknowledging that we can cause harm both through our actions and our intentions. It's a deep practice in building humility and strengthening relationships.
It really is. The source also mentions for you that the festival ends with the Hajj pilgrimage to Mecca, followed by Eid al-Adha and Eid al-Fitr.
Right,
So these events are all connected in some way, aren't they?
precisely. For you to see the connection,
Yeah.
the Hajj pilgrimage is a central pillar of Islam,
Right.
and its completion is marked by Eid al-Adha, the festival of sacrifice.
Okay.
Eid al-Fitr, as we discussed, comes after Ramadan. While they are distinct events,
Right.
they are all important celebrations in the Islamic calendar,
Yeah.
often happening close together and reinforcing themes of faith, sacrifice, and community.
And this tradition of visiting local cemeteries to recite verses for loved ones,
Yes,
that's a meaningful way for people to remember and honor those who have passed.
absolutely.
Let's move on to the food and gifts, which I'm sure you'll find interesting.
Yeah.
The source mentions that Hari Raya Aidilfitri is a big event lasting 2 to 3 days
Right.
with lots of feasting and giving gifts, including these special hampers. Those traditional dishes we talked about earlier.
Yeah.
Rendam lemon, ketupat lontong.
Yes.
They sound like they're the main attraction.
They absolutely are. What's fascinating for you here is how food becomes such a central way to express culture and celebration.
Right.
These dishes often have long histories and regional importance, and preparing and sharing them is a key part of the Hari Raya experience.
And it's not just the main meals.
No.
The snacks like kui lapis,
Yes.
doodle, and sarimbing, along with drinks like tuak and tatarik,
Right.
add to the festive feeling.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And these Hari Raya hampers,
Yes.
it sounds like they're a lovely way for people to share these special foods and build that sense of community. The source even mentions them in connection with seeking forgiveness.
Right.
Referring to inner sorry zahir.
Yes.
It's an interesting link for you to consider.
It really highlights for you how the act of giving, whether it's food or other gifts, can be a way of showing reconciliation and strengthening bonds between people.
Yeah.
The hampers become a physical way of expressing care and goodwill during this time of reflection and renewal.
I love that.
Yeah.
I think the greetings are also something that really brings the festive spirit to life for you.
Yeah.
Selamat Hari Raya, Selamat Berpuasa.
Right.
Although the source points out that Selamat Berpuasa is more for Ramadan itself,
Yeah.
and Siok Hari Raya. And then for Eid al-Adha, there are specific greetings like Selamat Hari Raya Aidilfitri, Hari Raya Aidilfitri.
Yes.
It's nice to see these specific ways people connect and wish each other well.
It emphasizes for you the importance of language in showing cultural and religious identity.
Yeah.
These greetings are more than just polite phrases. They carry deeper meanings and reflect the specific time of each celebration.
Now let's talk about how people outwardly show the joy of Hari Raya through clothing and decorations. The source mentions popular traditional Malaysian clothing. For men, there's the kopia and songkok with the baju Melayu and sampan.
Yes.
And for women, the baju kurung tudung juba and scarf.
Right.
It sounds like there's a real focus on celebrating cultural heritage.
Absolutely. What's visually striking for you about Hari Raya is seeing so many people wearing these traditional clothes.
Yeah.
It's a way for them to connect with their cultural roots and present themselves in a way that is both respectful and celebratory.
And the decorations, the brightly colored lights, stars, and banners with Selamat Hari Raya wishes, they really transform homes and public spaces into vibrant expressions of happiness.
They do.
Yeah. Finally, let's touch on the music and dance aspects.
Okay.
The source describes traditional music and dance gatherings at homes and mosques, featuring instruments like drums, harmoniums, gong, tambourines, and tablas.
Yes.
The mention of classical ragas and folk songs gives you a sense of the variety of musical influences.
Indeed. Music plays an important role in many cultural celebrations, and Hari Raya is no different.
Yeah.
The combination of these instruments creates a unique sound for the festivities.
And the traditional dances like Ena,
Yes.
Baju Melayu Rendang, and Makyang, often telling stories related to Islamic faith and culture, are a beautiful way to keep cultural heritage alive through movement.
Yeah.
And it's interesting for you that special performances of qasidas, those Arabic poetic odes, might also happen.
Right.
Adding another layer to the artistic expressions of devotion.
Yes.
The source even highlights for you that Joget Malay is a particularly popular dance in Malaysia, with its smooth steps and detailed hand movements.
Right.
And the specific songs mentioned for Eid al-Adha and Eid al-Fitri, Selamat Hari Raya and Zabiha for Aidilfitri, and Watika di Awal Puasa and Berpantang ke Bulan Syawal for Aidilfitri. It sounds like music is really woven into the fabric of these celebrations.
Exactly. The background music, often featuring classical Malay instruments like jendeng, gambus, and rebana, further enriches the atmosphere for you.
I love that.
What's fascinating here is how these artistic expressions serve not only as entertainment, but also as a way of sharing religious and cultural values across generations.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So to wrap up our deep dive into the Hari Raya Festival, based on the information you share, it's clear for you that this is a truly multifaceted celebration.
Absolutely.
We've looked at its historical roots, the important traditions of fasting, followed by joyful feasting and seeking forgiveness, the central role of community and family, and the vibrant cultural expressions through food, clothing, music, and dance.
Yes. And it's important for you to remember that Hari Raya is a globally significant event for Muslims, encompassing both deep spiritual reflection and the joyous coming together of communities. It's a time for personal renewal, strengthening social bonds, and celebrating the blessings of faith and community.
This has been a truly enlightening deep dive for us both, and hopefully for you too.
Yeah, it has.
It really makes you think, doesn't it?
It does.
Consider how cultural celebrations like Hari Raya, with their inherent emphasis on reflection, community, and forgiveness, offer really valuable perspectives that can resonate far beyond religious boundaries.
I agree.
What aspects of these traditions might be universally beneficial in fostering greater understanding and connection among all people?
It's a great question.
It's definitely something to ponder.
It is.
Thanks for joining me for this deep dive.
My pleasure.
All right, take care.
You too.
Bye-bye.